Welcome back to another episode of Freedom Finance with Lanny, guys. Today is going to be a different pivot. It's going to be more of me talking to you about my thoughts and just some historical evidence on the stock market, on the S&P 500, and to discuss those that are on the sidelines and to also touch on those that are, maybe looking, where do we go from here? Do we keep investing in the stock market as we have crossed the midway point here in 2024, guys? We're going to talk a little bit about what the S&P 500 has done this year. We're going to go through some history. We'll go through my take and my spin on it, just so you guys are staying informed and I'm being transparent with what I'm doing here, guys. So grab your favorite beverage, your beer, your liquor, your wine, your espresso, because you're Italian this weekend, guys. And let's dive into what's to come in the stock market or S&P 500. Let's get it. So the S&P 500 is up over 17% as of the close on July 5th, guys. And this is after a 2023 that saw a nice surge of over 24 to 25% plus in the S&P 500. And if you remember a bunch of my videos ago, probably even in 2023, but definitely early on in 2024, I was discussing that there's a 2/3% chance that we return positively this year, just based on evidence after a 20% gain year, guys. So there was a high likelihood that the market was going to return positively here in 2024 with a 20% return. And then those odds of having a positive return in an election year were also off the charts, guys. So there was always a high likelihood that 2024 was going to deliver positive returns to you. And that could mean 0.1% positive. Obviously, it's on track to do, again, as of right now, 17% through 6 months. I don't think you can just, keep that going over the rest of 2024. We might stay in the, again, give or take 3% in either direction range, guys. And I've been investing, obviously, not stopping, with my Vanguard trifecta. I'm buying the S&P 500 every single day. $60, VIG, 50, and VYM. My wife buys 3 shares. I buy 300 every Monday, and sometimes I sprinkle in 150 on Wednesdays. Don't ask me why on those days. That's just my system right now. Automatically using the SoFi app. Hey, if you're interested, below, free. You can set up all your daily, weekly, monthly automatic investing plans, guys. Shameless plug there. No, they're not paying me to sponsor any sort of video right now. But let's get back to it. S&P 500, right? Where do we go from here? Hitting all-time highs. AI is kind of carrying the torch with NVIDIA. Obviously, Microsoft, Apple doing their fair share, their fair part. Tesla's now roaring back over the last few weeks. So there's a lot of hot stocks carrying the stock market. But where do we go from here, and what's my take on it? Well, from looking back at history here, again, now that we're over 6 months, we'll probably finish positive this year. I mean, you can come at me if all of a sudden we don't, but I'd say through 6 months being up 17% would be very interesting if we erased all of those gains in the next 6 months, but I guess I can't say that it for sure won't happen. But there's a high likelihood we'll finish positive this year, marking the second year in a row positive returns. 25% plus last year, 17% plus already this year. What about the next year? What about 2025? What about the stock market in 2025? Well, I'll say that 71% of the time when the market has returned positively 2 years in a row, 71% of the time they make it the third year in a row of positive returns, guys. It's actually happened 12 times since, the stock market, 12 times, fairly solid, again, hasn't happened a ton, but it's happened at least 12 times. Just because it hasn't happened a ton where you have back-to-back, big years like we've had. So 71% of the time, the year after, a positive stock market return for the second year returns positively for the third year. Based on my review, the market has had 17, I believe, times where they've had a chance. So 12 out of 17. Let me just test my math here with my calculator on my computer, guys. All right, yeah, 71% rounded. So 5 times where it's returned negatively. 5 out of 12, or 5 out of 17, 12 out of 17. So odds are looking great that, hey, if we finish positive this year, 71% of the chance, or 71% of the time, we return positively for a third year in a row. We're also, again, we mentioned earlier, we're in that presidential election. We know that typically it returns positively in the year of the election, but what about the year after the election? What about 2025, which would be the year after an election? Now, going back through, the decades, pretty much 100 years of history here, going back to the, late 1920s when the stock market or the S&P 500 existed, 14 times out of 24 opportunities, the market returned positively the year after. Again, think 2021, 2017, 2013, 2009, 2005, 2001, 97, etc. The year after the election. So 58% of the time, it has returned positively the year after the election. So to backstep, 71% of the time after 2 years of consecutive returns, that third year is positive. And then the year after an election, 58% of the time, it is a positive year in the year after an election. And it's been more common over the last 40 years. From 2001 to 2021, 5 out of 6 times it was positive. From 1981 to 1997, 4 out of 5 of those election time periods, it was positive. So when you think about since 1981, the odds are even higher. 9 out of your last 11 times the year after the election, the S&P 500 returned positively. Now, prior to 1981 is where you really get the no, it didn't return positively. 1961 to 1977, 2 out of 5 times. 1941 to 1957, 2 out of 5 times. And then 1926 to 1937, just 1 out of 3 times. So the likelihood is actually less than 50% if you go back just between 1926 and 1977. But the last you could just call it 45 years, it has been even more than the 58% chance. So very interesting data, in my opinion, because you might be on the sideline, right? Maybe you're on the sideline in 23, maybe you're in 24 thinking, hey, I'm going to wait until the market pulls back. But that never happened in 2023 for you, did it? You might be earning that 5% going, why would I invest risk-free at 5%? I liked my 25% return last year. What about this year? Did you continue to like your risk-free rate of 5%, which more than likely will go down after that first rate cut? It's solid. Can't argue that. 17%, definitely much better. But what about going forward between now and through 2025? Historical evidence would suggest that there's a higher likelihood, more likely than not, that it'll be another positive year in 2025, just based on all of that history. Again, the 12 out of 17 times returning positively after a 2 year in a row. The 58% of the time after the year of a presidential election. And again, just looking at the last 45 years, 9 out of the last 11 times, the year after a presidential election returned positively. So you can continue to sit on the sidelines, but you can't time everything. You can't time the market. And that's also part of what this video is about. I don't want you to time the market. I want you to say these dollars are probably not worth anything. You should probably start buying assets. And one of those assets that I buy, obviously, are dividend stocks and ETFs. Again, being a dividend investor, looking for financial freedom through dividend income. Buying too many dividend stocks, but obviously my 3 main point ETF strategy. So I'm not stopping. I'm actually very, optimistic about the future. I think that, it makes sense to keep investing. I'm going to continue to invest in the stock market this year and in 2025, just based on this historical evidence that more likely than not, we will have a positive year. Again, do your own research, not professional advice, but evidence points to up. In long term, zooming out, the old quote, the market is up. So what do you guys think about the S&P 500 right now? Based on 17% through 6 months, do we finish off positively this year? How are you investing right now in the stock market? Are you more ETFs or are you more individual stocks right now? And on top of that, what do you think 2025 brings? Again, with the roaring AI market, the presidential election, Bitcoin and cryptocurrency having a little bit of a pullback, with the Mt. Gox thing, and then the Germany selling off some Bitcoin. What do you guys think is to come the next half of this year and in 2025, guys? Let me know in the comments. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Like this video, guys, and I'll catch you on the next one.